Thank you, Deborah and band. And it's so good to see so many of you here in person and all of you who are here online. We welcome you on this Palm Sunday. Some people don't know what Palm Sunday is. Occasionally I will talk to people about Palm Sunday, and I'll say, that's the day when Jesus made his entry into Jerusalem for the last day, and people were carrying palms, and they said palms, like, I don't know, they're thinking about palms, and it's like, oh, you mean like trees? Like, yeah, like all this stuff that's around us, all those palm fronds. They cut them, and they were waving, and they were shouting, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And they were laying down their cloaks, their coats on the pathway as Jesus was coming in on this little foal, this little colt of a donkey. And Jesus knew, at least according to the Gospels as we have them, Jesus knew what he was coming to do. Jesus knew what he was signing up for. Jesus knew what his purpose was. And the title of today's talk is Coming Into Our Own, coming into your own. And have you come there? Have you found it? Are you finding it? Are you living into that each day? I remember I was a minister in the Church of the Nazarene, grew up in this pretty strong evangelical tradition. They started me memorizing scripture starting at age 2. And I was just Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and other times I was at church. I was just soaking it up. And I can remember even when I was, 6 or 7 years old, some of the women of the church, I would call them mothers of the church, would come up to me and they would say, "Oh, there's something special about you, Timmy. I think maybe you might have a calling to ministry." Now, who says that to a 6 or 7-year-old? But I would have people come up to me and see that in me. And it would puzzle me a little bit because I'm thinking they must see something I'm not seeing. Because at 6 or 7, I don't know if I was really ministerial material. But they saw it. They could see this in me. Have you ever had someone who could see something in you that you were not able to see for yourself? Have you ever had that experience? Was it kind of shocking or surprising that someone could see this in you? And it's so great to be able to see that in somebody, to see the greatness that's in them, to see that hidden splendor, as Eric Butterworth would call it. Each one of us has this presence of the Christ, that presence of the divine. Each one of us is that presence in reality, and we're here to express excellence. We're here to express something amazing in a way that's never been quite done that way before. Sometimes people are concerned that they're not like everybody else. Oh, thank God. Right? When you're developing a garden, every flower is different. Every plant is different. You don't want everything to look the same, right? We all express divinity in a unique way. The second main principle of unity teachings is that all of us are divinity in expression. All of us are this outpicturing of divinity. So later on in my life, I battled back and forth. 8 years old, I wanted to be an astronomer. And I've watched the stars ever since. And in college, I got into research. I had a doctor of nursing teacher who really believed in me, and I was doing research, and wow, I found out I was good at it, and she found out I was good at it, and she said, you could be a scientist. And I was wrestling at that time whether ministry was a pull for me. I was helping with a little church, and it was during that time of helping with this little church that I discovered the sense of feeling like a fish in the water when I was doing ministry. People that I went to college with, many of them had not heard me talk. Many of them didn't know if I could. And when they found out that I was thinking about ministry, they're like, well, what are you going to say? And yet, there was this presence within me that knew what I was called to do. And in my office here, I have a little plaque that was given to me. And it goes this way. And whether or not this fits your belief system, I want to get to a particular principle here. And this is a quote from Rumi. And Rumi says, placed within each heart is what a person is here to do. Now, whether or not you believe that God placed something within your heart, we know that there is no separation between us and God. So I ask you, what is it that's rising up in your heart? What is it that you find fulfilling? What is it that energizes you? What is it that helps you to come to life? So that when people see you, they're like, whoa, the lights just came on. You know? My best friends are in AA. And I've had the opportunity to go to AA and, be familiar with 12-step program. And, I'm thinking of one of my friends who can be quite a jokester, but you don't know all that's gone on in his life. And I went to one of his birthday celebrations, when you celebrate how many years of sobriety an individual has had, and they receive a coin and they give a talk. And my friend got up and talked. It was like hearing God, to hear of what had happened in his life and the changes and the difficulties that he had gone through, and yet what had helped him along the way. And to be named as one of those that was part of his support system was so humbling. But when I saw him speaking and when I saw him doing this, I thought, wow, it's like watching a fish swimming in the water. What is it for you? What is it that helps you to come alive? What is it that helps you to know your purpose? What is it that when people look at you, it's like, wow, it's a fish swimming in the water? Last night we had an amazing experience. For those of you who were able to join us, we had a Passover Seder. There were 57 of us here. And we had wonderful music, and we did the Haggadah, where you say these prayers and these readings about Passover, and you dip like parsley in salt water and eat parsley, and you put things on matzah bread and you eat that, and it was a wonderful experience together of Passover, of celebrating together. It had been so long since this community all got together just to celebrate and eat and the fellowship in that way. It was such an amazing time. And as I looked at the individuals sitting at each table, I saw God. I got to break bread, literally. You break it, it's not soft. Break bread with God in the form of each one of you that was there. And that's what we are here to do. I see that symbol of breaking bread as breaking open the essence of who and what we really are, of breaking open that purpose, that coming into our own that we are here to do. Each and every one of us experiences challenges in life. At least. Now, if you don't ever experience challenges in your life, I'm really happy for you. There are some people that don't experience challenges in their life. They're called avadutas. That's a Sanskrit word. Sometimes we might look at them as being mindless and just wandering around in ecstasy. There are such people. But most of us in this dimension have some challenges. And what if those challenges in our lives are here to break open what is yet to be revealed? What if challenges that come into our individual lives or collectively in our community, in our world, what if they are invitations for something greater? What if what's happening in Ukraine is an invitation to the world to stand together for peace, for justice, for love? What if the racial inequities that occur in our own country are a call to us to be the Christ, to be the presence, to be the light, and to stand together in solidarity for justice and for equity? What if the individual things that happen in our lives, the challenges, the trials, the temptations, the relapses, what if those are a call for something greater to be revealed instead of a failure? It's a different image, isn't it? I was, trained in the Benedictine order, among other things, and I'm still a Benedictine oblate, the Catholic Church. And one of the scholars that was teaching about the Eucharist, when they lift up the broken wafer, the broken bread, like Deanne was doing last night, encouraged us, and this is very metaphysical, encouraged us to see ourselves as that bread. Yes, this is a Catholic, renowned scholar and priest and monk saying, see yourself as the bread that's being broken open, that's being offered up, that's being that expression of the presence of God. For those of you from a Catholic background, wow, that's a whole new way of looking at it. So those challenges that come our way, whether it's in a group, in a community, individually, those are opportunities to break open that presence. And that's what Jesus came into Jerusalem to do. Can we show that picture of Jesus coming into Jerusalem? So he's coming in. Now in this picture, Jesus is like, pretty somber. Everyone else is maybe happy, but he knows that he's coming in for a pretty strong reason, pretty strong purpose. He had said before this that he was going there to die. He did say he would be raised again in 3 days, but he had this very strong sense of what his purpose was, and once he found out what his purpose was, he committed himself to that. And that's the second point I want to get to. First of all, find out what your purpose is, and secondly, really commit to it. You can commit in small steps. My oldest brother, H.O., had challenges knowing what to do with his life for a while. He was I think he went to 3 different colleges, maybe 4, trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his life. And he couldn't figure it out. He studied computers, and he studied this, that, different things. And at church, he was a very quiet person for a lot of his life. And he got involved in children's ministry and a puppet team. And so he was excellent with these puppets and coming up with skits. And he developed a team. And it became so popular there that the whole church wanted to see these puppet shows. But he had this way with kids. I've mentioned before that he helped to raise me. He was a mentor to me. He always loved kids. He always believed in kids. He was always wanting to work with them. And one day it dawned on him, why am I trying to do all these other things if what I really love is kids? So he became a kindergarten teacher. He became the best kindergarten teacher. And all his students would follow behind him like little ducks, and they just loved Mr. Lytle, and he would have so much fun with them. So he figured out his purpose, then he committed himself to it, to study for it, to get involved with it. So commitment to your purpose is important. And Jesus, as he was coming into Jerusalem, was very, very committed to it. This is another day also celebrated by millions and millions of people on our planet. And it may not occur to you unless you're from an Eastern tradition or Indian tradition, you might know. This is the appearance day of Lord Ramachandra. And Ram was exiled with his brother, with his wife, into the forest for 14 years, I believe it was. He was supposed to become the king. It was like the day before he got exiled, day before he was to be coronated as king. But he stayed true to his purpose. He stayed true to what he was about. It took 14 years till he came back to really fully live into that purpose. Thank you, Connect. You don't have to show that slide anymore, but I just want us to think about not only what is my purpose, but how do I step into it? So I was thinking about, in the Church Nazarene, working with churches can be challenging. How many of you knew that? How many of you knew that working with churches can be challenging? And so I had a big career change, went in the hospital chaplaincy, and I wasn't too crazy about church anymore. Have any of you found yourself not too crazy about church at times? Or, like maybe things happened or something upsetting or traumatic happened or whatever. And so I got invited. I was a hospital chaplain, and I got invited to a church called Unity. And I thought, ooh, what's that going to be like? I wasn't sure. I wanted to go, and I wanted to be incognito. And I sat far back. I didn't want people to know I was a minister, I wanted to be incognito. And I thought, these people have so much love, so much acceptance. What's wrong with them? They seem to love each other, not in spite of their differences, but because of their differences. They seem to welcome different viewpoints, different faith perspectives. They seem to welcome different races. They seem to welcome different sexual orientations. Who are these people? And where have they been as I've gone through so much in my life? And I began to discover some of the mission of Unity. Some of the purpose. Because when I'm talking about living into our purpose and committing to it, I'm not just talking about our own individual purpose, but as a spiritual community. You notice that we've started saying again our mission statement and our 3 core commitments. And that's something I want us to be thinking about really living around our mission so that everything we do here is around our mission. So when there's bumps in the road or when there's changes that occur, we stay focused on our mission. Some churches get focused on the minister, who the minister is. And so you see these rise and falls depending on who the minister is or what happened. But if a church is really focused on its mission, then they have like this North Star that can guide them and direct them. And that's what I believe is most healthy for all spiritual communities, is to really be focused on their mission, just as us individually, and really committing to that mission, no matter the cost. So we find our purpose, we commit to it, and we really follow through. We follow through with it. When we know what is ours to do, we commit, and then we really follow through with it. So I want this Palm Sunday to be about your coming in to your own. It's not just about Jesus riding into Jerusalem. It's about you arriving and coming into your own, into your purpose, into your God presence, into being who you are here to be. We need you. This world needs you. I'm going to say a statement that I want you to think about all week. Okay? So even if you forget everything else, although I'd rather you didn't, but even if you forget everything else, I'd like you to remember this one thing. We are more because you are here. Speaking of this spiritual community, speaking of our world, we are more because you are here. Now, I want you to be thinking about that. Do you believe it? Is there a part of you inside that's like, I think that's just Reverend Tim trying to sound spiritual. Do you really believe it? It's true. And when we can all live into that, when we can all live into that God essence of who we are, then we can really live the mission of the spiritual community in the world. So I'd like you to repeat after me. This church is more.
This church is more.
Because I am here.
Because I am here.
This world is more.
This world is more.
Because I am here.
Because I am here.
Now, I'd like you to I know, introverts, this might be a challenge for you. Look at somebody here in the sanctuary, somebody, and please repeat after me. We are more.
We are more.
Because you are here.
Because you are here.
We are more.
We are more.
Because you are here.
Because you are here.
You matter to me.
You matter to me.
You are God stuff.
You are God's stuff.
And so it is. Amen. Thank you.